All right, and welcome into the Betting Pros College Football Show. Today, we put our money where our mouths are and make some picks for the Week 1 slate. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock, and today I'm joined by a wannabe Yinzer, college football betting sharp, Scott Bogman. What's up, man? We're one day closer.
Yeah, I'm ready for this season to kick off. We got games coming today as you're listening to this. I am excited. Let's get it. Let's go.
Absolutely. We're also joined today by the newest member of the Betting Pros family, American hero, sports betting icon, Terrell Furman. Terrell, great to be with you today, man.
Oh, I can't wait. What? I get to be here on Boggs and talking about Texas all season? Oh, they're going to fire me before this is over.
We'll keep you in line, make sure that doesn't happen. I'm home for the first weekend in a long time. I've been traveling all August long, and I get a text from my aunt and uncle this weekend. They're like, hey, you want to go tubing on Saturday? I'm like, yeah, we're going to have to shut that down. We've had all summer to do that type of shit. College football's back. I'm excited to get into it with you today on the program. We're going to give out our picks and predictions for the full weekend of college football action coming at us. The Thursday and the Friday games, the Saturday noon and 3:30 games, and of course the primetime games as well. And before we jump in, I wanted to remind you to take advantage of an awesome offer over at FanDuel Sportsbook right now. New customers can place a $5 bet and unlock $200 in bonus bets instantly, plus all customers can bet $5 and enjoy a free week trial to NFL Sunday Ticket, where you can catch every out-of-market Sunday game on YouTube and YouTube TV. All right, and let's jump into the Thursday night action in Boulder, Colorado, where FCS powerhouse North Dakota State will take on the Buffaloes in front of what Deion Sanders projects to be a sold-out crowd. We got Shedeur Sanders, we got Travis Hunter and company back. They're currently 9-point favorites in this one, gentlemen. They've also bolstered that line as the Buffalo enter the Big 12 fray. Not a lot of line movement in this one, I will say though. We have seen the total balloon up a little bit from 59.5 to 60.5. But the Bison will be without safety Cole Wilinski, so I think maybe that's why this line is going up a little bit. Boggs, based on our conversation earlier this week, I suspect that you are also partially behind this line movement as well.
Yeah, I mean, I like the over in this game because my thought process is, I think that Colorado is going to want to shut up everybody from all the off-field stuff. So I think they're going to want to run up the score and get them talking about the play on the field rather than Deion and the reporters and the nonsense and all that stuff. North Dakota State's not a joke, though, and they will try to slow this game down. And they have a very good roster, probably one of the top 2-3 teams in the FCS. So this is a really good roster. I just feel like the overhaul of the offensive line to me is going to, the way this offensive line plays is going to set the pace. If they can keep Shedeur Sanders safe, he had the third highest QB rating in a clean pocket behind Caleb and Jaden Daniels last season. So keep him clean, and the points are going to come. There's a lot of new faces on both sides of the ball, new coaches at Colorado as well. I think the talent is on Colorado's side. They're at home. They want to make a statement. I'm going with I don't really like the side here, but I like them to score points. I like North Dakota State to be able to score points as well. So I like the over, but as you said, it's ballooning, so maybe get it quickly.
Terrell, are you backing the Buffaloes in this one as well? Like Boggs mentioned, we do have a new offensive line there. The big boys are up front now to protect Shedeur Sanders. He took over 50 sacks last season. Do you like the over on this one as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, this isn't the same North Dakota State team that back in the days of Carson Wentz, Trey Lance type thing. Like, I don't think Cam Miller is that good of a quarterback, to be honest. I think that when he's faced adversity, he's kind of succumbed to it in the game last year on the road against North Dakota and the game on the road against South Dakota State, that he just kind of fell short. And I think this is going to be one of those similar kind of defenses where they're not great, but it's going to be an issue. And so without Cole Wilinski over there in the defensive backfield being able to slow things up, he was their best run stopper, so I think they're going to have an issue stopping the run. Now Colorado brings in Ohio State transfer Dallin Hayden 5.1 yards per carry in the last 2 years at Ohio State. That he said, hey, we want to prove that we can run the ball and we can dominate the line of scrimmage. And I think the offensive line is going to try to prove that against little old North Dakota State, that, hey, they can dominate somebody in football play. So, yeah, I think it's going to be really, really tough for them. They brought a whole bunch of transfers in. Will Shepard, the wide receiver from Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
LaJonte Wester, comes in from FAU, their number one receiver. Like, I think they have a whole bunch of pieces here where the offense is going to look good and the defense is going to look better against Cam Miller, who I think is a little bit below average. So, yeah, I like Colorado here, lay the points. Also, quick little player prop, but Dallin Hayden, I talked about him just a second ago, over 37.5 rushing yards. I mean, I think that he might get to 100. That's how serious I think they are, because they didn't top 100 all year last season. They didn't have a good rushing day at all. So I think that they're going to put a lot of emphasis on running the ball, controlling the line of scrimmage, and he's going to dominate from there.
I've used Hayden in NCAA. Guy has some wheels in that game. So if that translates it all to the real field here on Thursday night, I think you'll be in good shape with that player prop there, Terrell.
I do all my handicaps off the NCAA. Whoever I've used in NCAA and they play well, I say, oh, that team's going to be good. Shout out to Liberty. Liberty's going to be really good this year.
There you go. Shout out Liberty. Let's move on here to Stanford, California on Friday night, where the Cardinal will do battle against Sonny Dykes' TCU Horned Frogs. I already jumped on Stanford earlier this week as a 9.5-point dog. They are now up to 10-point dogs at some books. This total has also come down just a little bit as well, to right around 59.5 or 60. I think the books are sleeping a little bit on this Cardinal offense, boys. All 5 offensive linemen are back. Wide receiver Elick Ayo Manor also back. He had a breakout game last year against the Buffaloes. 3 TDs, nearly 300 yards in that one. And now if just one of these 3 quarterbacks that are listed as the co-starters, kind of funnily, over there at Stanford, if one of them can just not be ass, I think we have a chance that the Cardinal can cover the points here, especially against TCU, who, Terrell, they've already lost 2 starting cornerbacks, Avery Helm and Vernon Glover Jr. Do you share the same sentiment that I do and rolling with the Stanford Cardinal here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like Hoover. I don't think Hoover is that good of a quarterback. And I think Ashton Daniels, the mobility that he has gives another element to this team that I think people don't really realize. And so, yeah, Stanford was horrible last year. They were bad. Are they going to be bad this year? Probably so. They're coming over to the ACC. And, hey, we ain't no scrubs over here in the ACC. I'm going to let you know that right now. But, hey, I like Ayo Manor. He's a really, really good wide receiver. Versus Colorado, 13 for 294. Washington 146 and 122 against Oregon State. Oregon State, some pretty all right defenses. And like you said, all of the 5 starters on the offensive line is back. I think that's going to mean a world difference, not only for him, but also for the run game. And really, the defensive line on either side really doesn't scare me that much. So 10 points? This is way too much for a Sonny Dykes crew who played Colorado and lost early last year. I'm fading Sonny Dykes here. I don't think that this is a spot where you want to lay this many points. I will take the points, and I will also sprinkle on that money line because I think Stanford is live here.
I like it. Right around plus 290 is what we're getting that money line. Boggs, can we talk you into that as well, my friend?
I don't know about the money line, and the sides. The sides play closer. I went back and looked at week 1 last season. 25 and 21 towards the favorite last season in week 1, but totals were 27 and 19 in week 1. So I think I'm going to play more towards the total in this game, and I like the over. I know the popular talk recently has been about the under because of the miserableness of the Stanford offense from last season. But Troy Taylor gets 9 returning starters. There's a lot of ors in that depth chart, right, as you guys mentioned. But I think both these teams are still pretty bad on defense. I mean, TCU brought in Andy Avalos to change the entire scheme. They're 118th in pass rush grade, according to PFF last season, 92nd in coverage grade for TCU. They got, like Terrell said, they got beat by Colorado, exposed early, and just that blueprint was used over and over and over against them. And I think that's the one thing that Stanford can get right on offense is passing the ball. So I like I like the over in this game. I lean towards Stanford as well. Don't know if I want to do the money line. I don't know if I'm as brave as Terrell, but I do understand that it's in play. Just a little sprinkle. It's week 1, baby. Just week 1, just a little sprinkle there. I get it. But Yeah, no, the over I like, and you wait on it because this line is trending down, down, and down recently. So I would wait on it and get it at the last minute.
Going down, down, down in a burning ring of fire is that total there. Let's shift into the Saturday games, boys, and move into what may be the game of the weekend. Number 14, Clemson, will do battle with Georgia, number 1 ranked overall in Atlanta. I like Georgia. They're playing in their backyard. Both teams are fairly healthy coming into this week 1 showdown as well. I think 13.5 points isn't really enough in this one. However, Kirby Smart decided to decline when commenting about possible suspensions earlier this week to starters Smael Mondon and Trevor Etienne coming over there from Florida as well. Also, just a lot of uncertainty around this game in general. I feel like both teams were sub 500 against the spread last season. And they only have about 65% returning production as well. Can you provide any clarity on this situation here, Terrell, the Georgia Bulldogs and the Clemson Tigers?
Yeah. So, one, let me just throw out there that Dabo should be getting all the heat that Dion is getting for Dion not allowing that reporter to ask him questions. Dabo should get it too, because Tyler from Spartanburg asked a very good question, and now Dabo is trying to dodge it because it was a 4-4 start last season. It was really embarrassing. We should be questioning you and what this team is able to do. But however, if you look at that, he said it. He was kind of pulled a Aaron Rodgers and RELAX. We're going to be all right. Relax. We're going to win out. And they did. They won the last 5 games. And so I think that this Clemson team is a little bit closer to that team last year in the last back end of those 5 games rather than the first 8 games. And because they don't attack the transfer portal, Dabo is a strong, I'm going to stand strong, no transfer portal. We're going to stick with our guys and all of that. But Dabo recruits really well, and he gets really, really recruits to come in. So now you just got to develop that talent and grow them. And so it seems like he believes that, hey, we've grown this talent to the point where we can compete, and Dabo's not a loser. So I think this is actually going to be closer than people think. I may be going down the beaten path here, but give me Clemson plus 13.5. Maybe this is a 10-point, 7-point, even an overtime game, and they win by 6.
Boggs, I knew you were also a little bit higher on Clemson when we talked earlier this week. Do you share this same vibe that Terrell's getting down there in Clemson?
I like the lean towards Clemson for sure. I think this might be too many points for Georgia. I mean, these are 2 really good teams. This isn't, a scrub team that Georgia is starting against, but you think about the dominance of Georgia, too, and what they lost, right? You lose Ladd McConkey, you lose Brock Bowers, and they still have the number 1 rated offensive line in the country, the number 1 tight end room. Without Brock Bowers in the country, I think their wide receivers are like 18 and their running backs are 6. I mean, it's the talent on offense and defense for Georgia is insane. They are one of the best teams in the country because of that. So the side, I'll take points probably in a ranked on rank game of this level for sure. But I like the total again. Clemson is, I feel like they're stronger on offense right now with Maffa and Antonio Williams coming back, Tyler Brown coming back. I think this team is still really good. You got 3 of 5 returning offensive linemen as well, and Klubnik under another year. And I know that we all have that. Duke beat them 28-7 last season, but I mentioned it on Monday. I'll mention it here again. They had over 400 yards. They turned the ball over 5 times in that game. 3 turnovers and 2 failed 4th down conversions. So the yards were there. They just didn't punch it in. I think this year they're going to be better at punching it in. This is a big game. You got to get up to play this one. And, it is in Atlanta, but Clemson is not far. So I think that crowd should be close to 50-50, if not maybe 64 to a Georgia lean. But there's going to be Clemson will be well represented in this game.
Okay. And Georgia Tech also last year against Georgia, they lost by 8. Missouri lost by 9. Like, it's been teams that have been able to keep close with them. They're not perfect.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think sometimes you see that number 1 right next to him, and you want to click the button, especially like you said, Terrell, we are kind of thinking about that 4-4 start. At least maybe I am weighing it a little bit too heavily here coming into a fresh
Tyler from Spartanburg. He made a good question. Hey, Dabo, you need to let fans call in. Why are you not letting fans call in anymore? Why are you even doing the show? There's no point in doing the show. Just stop doing the show.
Yeah,
Yes.
If you're not going to let people call in, why are you doing it?
Just don't do the show.
100% correct, yes.
Find someone else to do it. Let's move up here to the north, to the country roads, where the Nittany Lions have shrunk slightly to an 8-point favorite over the West Virginia Mountaineers. A ton on the line for both teams in this one. In this expanded playoff, Penn State would have made it in the last 6 of 8 years here. While West Virginia, they've trusted the process here under Neil Brown. They went 9-4 last season, had a top 40 offense for the first time in a long time. And Morgantown's no freaking joke either. I went to a bar once in the summertime with a Penn State shirt on. I almost had to scrap my way out of it, boys. I'm going to be honest. I got a lot of dirty looks. I got a lot of words exchanged to me. But still, Boggs, with that being said, I do slightly lean towards Penn State. Does that half-point shrink make you want to get down on them?
No, I like Penn State regardless. And this is another one I want to take late, because I think this is going to trend towards West Virginia here. And, look, Drew Allar, I know people are questioning whether he is good. Well, let me tell you, his only 300-yard game last season was against West Virginia, right? And I think this defense is very strong, too. I know that it is trendy to pick West Virginia. I've even heard some analysts pick West Virginia outright, sprinkling on that money line. I understand that. I just think that we're forgetting that there's two sides of the ball, and Penn State's defense is really, really good. So I think they're going to set up some short fields for this offense. I think adding Julian Fleming to this wide receiver core for Penn State gives them more explosive plays. The explosive plays were just not there. They were 86th in the country, 75th in yards per play last season, this Penn State offense. But I think where you're going to see real dominance is the Penn State offensive line versus West Virginia's front seven. I think that is the biggest mismatch in this game. I think Penn State's going to run down West Virginia's throat. I know it's a tough place to play. It can be tricky. Week 1 is always weird, but I don't think this is enough points. I don't think we're giving Penn State enough credit. So I'll take Penn State, and another game I trend towards the over, because Garrett Green and C.J. Donaldson put up some rushing yards on this defense last year. I think they're going to be able to move the ball. I think it's going to be, 3 and outs that are going to haunt them, and if there's just a little bit more explosion from Penn State, they could want to run away with this game. So I'm going Penn State, and I'm taking the over.
How do you feel about it, Terrell? I do always like to back my Penn State Nittany Lions, but at the same time, they did lose a lot, especially on that offensive line in the offseason.
Yeah, and I disagree. I think the front seven is probably the best part of the defense for West Virginia here. Like, they are really, really beefed up in that front seven, and they always keep a really solid defense. It's just, hey, can the offense put them in good positions where the defense doesn't have to try to defend 40 yards or anything like that, goal to go or something like that. But now I think Garrett Green, another year, the duality that he gives, I think that's going to mess with Penn State a little bit. And I am not a believer in Drew Allar. I am not. You got to go do it on the road. And this is Morgantown. This isn't little old Michigan State, Illinois, Northwestern. They played Northwestern on the road last year. Come on. This is Morgantown where the couches are on fire. Like, I am all the way bought into this West Virginia defense, remembering the butt kicking they took last year and saying, hey, we're going to come back into Morgantown. We're going to play really good defense, and we're going to make enough plays to be able to give this Penn State team a game. Like, they hate that whole state, not just Pitt. They hate the whole state. And so, yeah, I'm all over West Virginia here. Call me a square, but give me West Virginia +9 on the money line. I think West Virginia is going to win this one outright.
Ooh. All right. Okay. All right. I hope very much that is not the case, but I like the confidence there from our guy Terrell. And before we continue, I do want to remind you about Fast Breaks Bets. If you like betting on basketball, then join host Terrell Furman each and every single day for your basketball betting needs in 15 minutes or less. Tune in every day for your rapid-fire fix on everything from the WNBA to the NBA to college basketball and more. Check out Fast Break Bets podcast on the BettingPros YouTube channel right here, wherever you listen to your podcasts as well. All right, and let's go ahead and shift gears to the late afternoon slate. Number 19, Miami takes on Florida in the Swamp. I woke up Monday ready to lay the hammer on Miami as a 2.5-point favorite. Now they have Cam Ward. They have Damian Martinez, who I think is going to run all over this Gator defense. But at the same time, Boggs kind of pushed me off the ledge a little bit here early in the week. This a veteran Gators team in Gainesville. Where do you lean, Terrell?
Hey, look, you can only bet on Graham Mertz once in the season. That's it. That's it. You can only feel confident betting Graham Mertz once every season. Last year, it was Tennessee, and I put the house on Florida against Tennessee, and they got it done as a dog. Now we get them against Miami with the hype that is this Miami team and Mario Cristobal, and I just don't see it, man. I don't believe in Cristobal as a coach. I mean, we've seen the coaching blunders he had last year, and I don't think just because he's got some more talent is going to be better. I really question it. I think that this Florida team is really, really solid, man. I think they're going to be able to run the ball. I think they'll be able to control the line of scrimmage. And the DBs for Miami have taken a step back this year. And so if Graham Mertz is actually able to do something as a passer this game, then I have no idea how Miami's going to come into the swamp and get a win. Nobody comes into the swamp and just gets a win. Shout out to Florida. I think Florida plus 2.5, sprinkle on the money line. I think they'll get it done.
Okay, Boggs, where do you lean right now as it stands Thursday at the time of this publication?
Yeah, I tell you what I really don't want to do is bet on a rivalry game in week 1 on a side. So I'm not going to do that. I like the over in this game because, Graham Mertz is still a good quarterback. Like Terrell said, only 4 returning starters on Miami's defense. Miami's defense is still very good, very, ranked really high. But this is a weird game in Gainesville. But I also really like what Miami did in the transfer portal. I'm a huge Cam Ward fan. I really, really like him. And I think if you keep him, a little more clean in this offensive line that I think Miami will do, I think we can expect big things from him. So this is a game where I'm not picking a side. I think that's madness. This game seems like a coin flip to me in that respect. But I think there are points to be scored here. So I'll take the over in this one as well.
All right, Boggs, the over machine here in week 1 of the college football betting slate. Moving forward, also not a ton of line movement for Colorado State taking on the number 4 ranked Texas Longhorns. This is still a pretty experienced Longhorns group led by QB Quinn Ewers. However, they lost a ton in the draft as well, boys. Offense, they lost Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, Jonathan Brooks, Jatavion Sanders. Defense, of course, Byron Murphy and Tavondre Sweat out the door. And they only beat Rice by 27 in last year's opener. There's no way I can lay 31.5 here on the Longhorns. I apologize about it, Boggs.
I don't want to do it either. We talked about this on Monday, and Michigan, Texas is going to Michigan next week. So you don't want to put a lot on film for Michigan to see. I think you want to keep this pretty basic. I think you want to run the ball with these running backs to get a sense of what that room is going to be like. I think you want to get the backups a little bit of experience as well. And Texas is notoriously slow starters. So for me, I'm not laying this amount of points either. And the total is kind of dicey as well. So I'm kind of a stay away from the games with these big lines. We're not going to talk about Ohio State versus Akron, but I'll take the points, man. When you get up to 30 points, 25 points, somewhere in that range, I start to feel real iffy regardless of teams a lot of the times, especially after what we saw with SMU last week and Florida State as double-digit favorites. So, yeah, I'm not messing with this game.
Terrell, do you have anything for us here? Because Boggs and I are just a little bit gun-shy on this Texas game opening up the season.
Horns down, baby. Yep. What? I'm not laying this points. Of course, Texas slow starters, but you got to think. Also, during that span, they were playing backup quarterbacks. What? They were also playing backup quarterbacks to those teams and kind of like, hey, letting them in the game. I remember a Wyoming game. They had a backup quarterback playing. Like, there's been multiple times where I've seen them play down the competition. Of course, you're going to do that with Michigan on deck. Yeah. What? This is the ultimate look-ahead game on the road. They're not looking at this Colorado State team. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ball, you have Jay Norvell, who's really good as a dog. He's really, really good coming up in big standings. You saw the Colorado game last year where he was able to get that team, rally that team together and be able to score points. I don't think they're going to do anything defensively, but I think they're going to be able to score and keep this one close. So 30 plus points? No way. They have Brayton, Fowler, and Nkosi over there on that side, and he turned the ball over, but he was really good. So if he limits the turnovers this year, I think Colorado State's going to be better than advertised. So yeah, I like Colorado State covering. I think they lose by 21.
Okay. All right.
I'll take a 21-point win.
There you go.
I'll take that for the Longhorns. So.
There you go. Some love for the Rams. And let's go ahead and let's move into the primetime slate here. Number 13, LSU, and number 23, USC will be traveling to the Sin City. Both of these teams lost a lot, 7 picks from just the first 2 days of the draft. Also, 3 picks in the top 6 overall picks came from these two schools as well. Miller Moss and Garrett Nussmeier did look good in their bowl games last season. My heart wants to back USC and Lincoln Riley here. They're closer to home. However, USC has lost 10 of his last 11 games against AP-ranked opponents. Terrell, I don't know where to go on this one. This is a tough one as well.
Yeah, I mean, for me right now, is take the over. I like the over. I definitely like LSU team total over. I'm not going to believe in that USC defense until I see something change, because Lincoln Riley basically took the defense from Oklahoma and said, hey, we didn't have to play defense in Oklahoma. You ain't got to play defense here at USC either. So it doesn't matter. Like, you can come over here with me, but you ain't got to do nothing. So I'm not going to believe in any Lincoln Riley coach defense at all until they show it to me. And that's kind of why I lean LSU here -4. I feel a little bit uncomfortable, especially because it got up to 6 and it just got bet back down. But I still have questions of how this new LSU offense is going to look. How much of that was Brian Kelly? How much of that was Jayden Daniels? But I really, really just am 100% for fading, just absolutely fading defense in this game. So I like the over. I like LSU team total over, and we'll see if LSU can get the cover.
64 is a big total, Boggs. Can you get behind the over as well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I really like the over here. And what Terrell said is just, I mean, it's the easy logic. Show me that USC has the players to do it. We know that in terms of roster strength. The defense is really strong. But Lincoln Riley has not put together a good defense. So why would we expect it to happen on a dime? I don't think it's going to happen. LSU also had issues on defense last season. They were 81st in points per game, 104th in yards allowed per play, 95th in successful play rate percentage last season. So they went out and got Blake Baker from Missouri to take over their defense. And yes, we are replacing 2 Heisman level QBs here, but we saw Miller Moss throw 6 touchdowns in his bowl game, and Nussmeier against Wisconsin went for 395 yards and 3 touchdowns in that game. So we're not coming in with guys with 0 experience. These guys have had good experience, and the playmakers at USC might be even better this season in terms of the wide receivers. And Taj Washington and Brendan Rice were outstanding last season. Marshawn Lloyd was good too. So I still think USC has a lot of weapons. So I'm on the over here. The side I would lean towards LSU as well. I think they're the better, more well-rounded team, but I really like the over in this game. It's one of my favorites of the week.
Okay, maybe Boggs bet of the week there, the over for USC and LSU out in Sin City. Let's round it out here, gentlemen, with number 7 Notre Dame traveling to College Station to take on the number 20 ranked Aggies. Former Duke Blue Devil quarterback Riley Leonard, now with the Irish, will take on his former head coach Mike Elko. Without a ton of marquee matchups on the schedule for Notre Dame, I think they really need this one here if they want a shot at making this 12-team playoffs. Also, as always, not playing for a conference title either. They were 9-3-1 against the spread last season under Marcus Freeman. Can they at least cover here, Terrell, or do you want to go elsewhere in this game?
Oh, no. I love Texas A&M in this one. Mike Elko is just the coach that I want to get behind. That's a coach. We see what he turned around in Duke, and the fact that even without Riley Leonard for partial of that season last year, he had Duke competing. And honestly, he would have beat Clemson. He would have beat Clemson if Riley Leonard didn't go down in that game. Like, that would have happened. And so I think that Mike Elko understands Riley Leonard as a quarterback. He knows the best way to defend him, and I'm sure that he's given those tips to his defensive coordinator and that defense. This entire staff at Texas A&M, in terms of players, they're really good. Like, this is all that that recruiting class that Nick Saban said they were paying players for, and hey, you got to stop paying the players and it's NIL stuff and blah, blah, blah before the NIL really even took off. This is the class he's talking about. All those guys kind of returned. So that, in addition to the transfer that he's brought in, I really think Mike Elko is going to coach a really, really good group here. And this is a new era of Texas A&M without Jimbo Fisher. So I'm all over Mike Elko here. I think the line is telling you, you got a ranked team that is an underdog against an unranked team laying 3 points. I think it's telling you, hey, lay the 3 points here. Mike Elko is going to find a way to get it done. And this Texas A&M team is really good. And I think they actually have playoff hopes.
Boggs, I know you liked the Aggies a little bit earlier in the week as well, but do you like them enough to lay the 3 points? That's the question here.
That game's too weird for me to lay the points. Like, is Mike Elko, is he going to know Riley Leonard too well and scheme him up too well to where they don't do too much on offense? This is a hostile environment for Notre Dame, right? Five brand new offensive linemen. I think I heard yesterday that they have a combined 6 starts between them, and you go to the 12th man to start the season is tough. But I will say, just in terms of roster strength, this is the 8th best offensive line in the country for Notre Dame. And the Irish played to the over 9 times in 13 games last year, and 3 of their 4 unders, they held their opponents to 17 points or less. I don't think they're holding Texas A&M to 17 points or less. I think they have enough with Riley Leonard to score points. So this is yet another game. I swear there's unders I like this week. There are, but I saw, in my numbers where I went back and looked at week 1, not only did we play more towards the over 27-19 last year, ranked teams also 12-7 played towards the over as well. So I like the over in this game because I think that Notre Dame is going to be able to score points, but Texas A&M is for sure going to be able to score points at home. So 46.5 just looks low to me, even though both these teams have really strong defenses. There's a plethora of different ways this could go. There's weirdness because of Mike Elko and Riley Leonard. If you want to stay away from this game because of that, I totally respect that. I like the over here, though.
All right, Boggs hoping for an exciting Saturday. His wallet would have certainly enjoyed that as well. And that'll do it for us today on the Betting Pros College Football Show. Boggs will be back later in the week with a solo show with more of his favorite picks, maybe even some unders on that card as well, and some player props as well. Until then, if you like this video, make sure you let us know in the comments below. Comment, did we miss something where we write about some things? I will read them. Boggs will not. But make sure you're subscribing to the Betting Pros YouTube channel and the podcast feed as well. Plus, download the Betting Pros app, sync your sports books today, tail our plays or don't. Either way, we don't care. For Scott Bogman and Terrell Furman, I'm Seth Woolcock. Take care, y'all. Thank you.